Good day everyone, my name is Perez from BS Ed English 3B and I will be reporting a Japanese literature entitled Kokoro. But first, let me discuss the author of the novel. The author is Natsume Soseki and his full name is Natsume Kinosuke. He was born on February 9, 1867 in Oshigomeku, Japan and died on December 9, 1916 in Tokyo, Japan. His full name is Natsume Kinosuke. He was married to Kyoko Natsume from year 1896 to 1916. He was an outstanding Japanese novelist of the Meiji period and the first to ably depict the plight of the alienated modern Japanese intellectual. Natsume took a degree in English from the University of Tokyo in year 1893 and taught in the provinces until 1900s when he went to England on a government scholarship. In 1903, he became lecturer in English at the University of Tokyo, and after 1907, when he gave up teaching to devote himself to writing, he produced his more characteristic works, which were somber without exception. They deal with man's effort to escape from loneliness. His typical heroes are well-educated middlemen who have betrayed or who have been betrayed someone close to them and through guilt or delusionment have cut themselves off from other men. Some of his notable works are Waga Haiwa, Neko de Aru, published in year 1905 to 1906, and if translated in English, it is I Am a Cat. And Bochan, published in 1906 as well. Bochan means Master Darling. And lastly is Dakusa Makura, published in 1906, which means The Three-Cornered World. Now, what is the story of Kokoro? Kokoro is a story of a young man searching to fill a void in his life. It is a story of many individuals who long to appease loneliness and the story of two men who attempt to assuage loneliness through love but only find peace in death. Soseki is a young man bored with life when he befriends Sensei. Where does Kokoro take place? Kokoro in 1914 is a novel by Natsume Soseki. It was set during a period of modernization in Japan. Kokoro is a story of family, faith, and tragedy that explores timeless themes of isolation and identity. So what time period does Kokoro take place in? This elegant novel of the Meiji period captures the opening in Japanese Confucian culture in the 250-year-old Tokugawa shogunate to the West and Western culture. It was published in 1914, 2 years before Natsume Soseki's death. Now, let's proceed to the characters. So, the first character is Soseki. Soseki is a well-off young man from the countryside who attends university in Tokyo. Youthful and earnest, he is drawn to Sensei but feels alienated from his family. So, Soseki, if you can recognize Soseki, the name is based from the author himself. And then, next character is Sensei. He is an enigmatic man who lives a reclusive and idle life with his wife. Although he is weary of the world in general, he becomes a mentor of sorts for the narrator. He hints of his dark past but never reveals it. So, sensei literally means teacher in Japan or in Japanese language. Next is sensei's wife or Oho-san. Oho-san is a very beautiful woman whose seemingly simple-minded nature belies her strong emotional intuition. Sensei calls her by her name Shizu, but in the context of this story, she is called Oho-san, which is the polite form of address for young lady or daughter. Another character is Oko-san. She is Oho-san's mother, a soldier's widow. Oko-san is the polite form of address for someone else's wife. And lastly is Kei. Kei is the motherless son of a Buddhist priest, and Kei is an extremely idealistic, determined, and indifferent who has been a friend of Sensei since they were young. Now, let us proceed to the story. In early 20th century Japan, Soseki, a university student, meets an enigmatic and aloof older man whom he calls Sensei. For reasons that he himself is not completely aware of, Soseki is drawn to Sensei, and so while staying in Tokyo for his university, he often visits Sensei and his wife at their quiet home to talk with Sensei. Although Sensei gives Soseki a great deal of advice on life, he is hesitant to reveal the details of his own dark past from which he has acquired those lessons, which frustrates the student's curiosity and earnestness to learn. So, according to the first part of the novel, Soseki and Sensei met at the beach. Soseki was having a vacation since it is summer and there was no school yet. He decided to take a vacation at the beach, and then Sensei was also visiting the beach, and when he saw Sensei, he became interested to the man. When Saseki receives a word that his father's illness was worsened, he leaves Tokyo for his provincial hometown, where he finds that even though his father actually seems rather well, there is a painful distance between him, an educated and urban young man, and his family. So, Soseki is currently studying at the university in Tokyo, but he left his family in a province or their own hometown, and he went home when he learned that his father is ill. Soon afterwards, he returns to Tokyo and finishes his university education, all along and talking with Sensei. So, when he went back to Tokyo, he continued his studies and he continued visiting Sensei as well. However, the next time Soseki is called back home due to his father's illness, it turns out to be much worse, to the point that his father goes through a terrible physical decay and seems moribund. As the family awaits the father's death, Soseki receives a long letter from Sensei at the end of which he states that he is going to die. Immediately, Soseki leaves his father's deathbed and rushes to Tokyo. So even though Soseki and Sensei spend a lot of time, there are still secrets and mystery about Sensei that he does not reveal to anyone, even his wife. In Sensei's testament, the secretive man reveals the past events that made him lose all hope in himself and the rest of humanity. So, as I have said earlier, Sensei is a very secretive and mysterious man, and he does not reveal anything to other people, even his wife. So, orphaned at a young age, Sensei allows his beloved uncle to take care of his inheritance while he attends university in Tokyo. But then he discovers that his uncle has cheated of much of it. This incident makes Sensei very distrustful of other people, and when he moves in to board with a widow Okusan, which is Ohosan's mother, and falls in love with her daughter Ohosan, he becomes more outgoing and less melancholy. So, the first betrayal that Sensei got was from his own uncle. And then, by that incident, it turned out that he became distrustful of other people. But then he met Oko-san, the widow of a soldier, and as well as Oho-san, and eventually they fall in love with each other. Hoping that the environment of Oko-san's and Oho-san's home would help one his university friends to whom he refers as Kei, Sensei arranges for him to stay with them. So Sensei went aboard to Oko-san and Oho-san's home, and he also helped his friend Kei. Kei, the son of a priest, is a strict, almost eccentric idealist who wants to achieve some kind of spiritual glory above all worldly things. So because of this, he becomes tormented when he too falls in love with Oho-san. After Sensei sees Kei and Oho-san getting closer and Kei confesses his love for Oho-san to Sensei, Sensei becomes desperately jealous. He impulsively gets engaged to Oho-san and then attacks Kei using the idealistic things he had said before. So the second betrayal Sensei experienced was when Kei confessed his love for Oho-san. And by that time, Sensei and Oho-san were already getting to know each other, and eventually they fall in love. Not long after, Kei commits suicide, and feeling responsible for it, Sensei considers suicide even as he married to Oho-san. So even though Sensei was already married to Oho-san, he blamed himself for Kei's death. So as a form of punishment, he decides to deny himself life by living a complete ideal life. But after the death of the Emperor Meiji in the ritual suicide of General Nogi to follow the word of his lord to the grave, Sensei feels that he has found the right time to do and finish writing his testament, and then he killed himself. So what is the message of Kokoro? The message of Kokoro is all about loneliness. Loneliness in the search to appease, it is the main theme of the novel. Though Suseki is unaware of what he is looking for in Sensei, the elder understands Suseki is a lonely young man who hopes to relieve that loneliness through their relationship. So, from Suseki's perspective, loneliness can be seen in the way that he is alienated by his own family and, of course, Sensei's death. And in Sensei's point of view, loneliness is all about the betrayals that he experienced during his dark past that mold him to become a very distrustful and a very enigmatic man, that even his wife does not know everything about him. And that's the end of my report. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day ahead.